All right. I'm going to take this time now to explain what we are doing for those who are joining us via YouTube. Welcome to everybody that is joining us via YouTube. What is happening now is today we are continuing on the subject of new colonization. I would like us to focus on new colonialism. Please give me a few moments just to close this playback. OP, we are in working groups, so as you come in, I'm going to allocate you into a group. You will see what is happening there when you arrive, and in the group they will let you in. Please join the group that you see in your screen. So anyway, what we are doing today is a discussion of new colonialism, but we are doing it as a game. I've shared it with everyone already who is here physically too, and everyone is in groups, but I'm doing it now for those who are watching us via Moodle, YouTube. Please do this game as well on your own. It's very, very important for your understanding of new colonialism and how it works. Globally. So this game is called New Colonialism, Neo-colonialism for those who pronounce it in that way. Neo actually means new. It's a new form of colonization. So what you do, the instructions there is that you need to imagine yourself to be a banker. You want to ruin everything in the world. You are a banker, you want to extract as much wealth as possible from the world, at least more than everyone else. And you will manipulate the global economy in order to make money or to send money into your secret Swiss bank account. You have an account in Switzerland. And whoever in this game has the most Swiss money wins the game. Right? So you can play it solo, but we are playing it in groups in this class today. What you need to do as a tactic, you are buying votes. You make sure that you buy votes of parliamentarians. You are also selling those votes to incite a military coup so that people can fight against one another in the various countries. So what you need to be aware of is that you don't have the strength of an army because you don't own one, you are a banker. You also don't have control over territory, so you don't own a country. But you are a former colonizer and you own the bank, and your only power is the economy. So you need to then spread your influence throughout the globe by purchasing, by buying votes in parliament, and by selling them to incite military coups. You always share your power with your enemies, which is your money. So you always give aid, you always give financial assistance, and you're only waiting for the moment where you can backstab them so that you can make profit. And you are also engaged in free trade agreements to make sure that there's free trade all over the world. You are rerouting in that process industrial wealth throughout the world, from mines to factories, and you are using exploitation of various trade agreements. You change prices as and when you wish. You keep them to your favor. Remember, your goal in this game is to make profit, not to improve the world. You don't have any interest in improving the lives of people except your own by making profit. You will also manipulate the International Monetary Fund. You will control the International Monetary Fund because you are a banker, you have money, you also give them money. You are the richest bank in the world. You will control them, you will force them to make decisions, policy decisions. that do not take into cognizance the approval of the various parliaments who formulate the global world system. You're basically then going to screw over your opponents without them being able to do anything about it. So that is the essence of the game that everyone is busy with now in the various groups. And the African map, you need to look at the African map. The African map is upside down because, as a banker, you're saying, why not? Why can't I turn the world upside down as I wish? Because I own money, I've got power. So that is the essence of this game. And everyone else will be back in 10 minutes. Welcome, Violetu, to share the discussions. So I'm going to place you into a group. Everyone is in groups now. And we will be closing the groups in the next couple of minutes. Please join the group that you see in your screen.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go join the groups now and see if everything is going well, and I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back from the groups. I see everyone is back. Can we hear from group 1? I mean, I know it was a short time, but what have you been thinking about? Group 1, group 2, anyone? All right, I'm going to ask you individually. I'm going to just pick up people now. So I would like you to tell me if you were a banker. And I'm not going to point Upegi because Upegi speaks a lot in class. Everyone has got the responsibility to participate. So Peggy, I'll come back to you at some point. Kanyisa Makwaza, if you were a banker and we're doing this exercise, Kanyisa ran away. Kanyisa left the room or fell off. I would like to think that it is not a runaway Kanyis. Anyway, so Gwandile, would you like to give it a try? Remember, there are no right or wrong answers. We are all reflecting on a system. Oh, Gwandile is attending from library. Okay. Gwandile is in a library. Anyone else who would like to give it a try? All right, this is what we are going to do. I'm going to ask you to go and work on this at home when you come on Monday. Please come prepared. We are not going to have a conversation with Ubegi and myself. It is everyone's responsibility to engage in class. Remember, we are here to learn. So it's very important that everybody speaks, because I need to know whether you are understanding what we are doing or we are not. And that is the essence of class participation. And if you are struggling, I'll also want you to be free to say that you don't understand, so that we don't leave you behind. It's very, very important. And so remember, class participation also counts towards your engagement. I see someone, OP, saying, I'm really confused, having joined a bit late. My apologies. I don't know if I'm able to answer. Can I ask what the question and exercise was? Okay, thanks, OP. Is there anyone who was here earlier on who'd like to explain to OP what we've been busy with? Anyone that understood what we are doing? And if you don't understand, it's also fine. I'm happy to explain, but I just want to be sure that everyone either understands or not, or doesn't, or they don't understand. Asti, do you understand?
Please, can you explain one more time, Doctor?
Okay. Do you want to help us maybe explain to OP what we have been saying?
About the game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically the game is you have to profit and you don't really worry about the world as is. But you buy votes to like gain power and like to mislead certain people and stuff like that. And then and I think that's how it is. And then you basically control the world.
All right. So ST has just explained now. Can I just check with people that are saying you did not understand, if you understood what ST was saying? Redmi Vuyolwetu, kuyazwakala from what Asti was explaining.
Mina ngizokuthini but I still don't get the question ukuthi how do we respond to that, or what is required from us to say?
Mm. Okay, so it's a game that we are playing. It's an exercise basically. You are required to think of yourself as a banker, as somebody or owner a bank. You are owning the economy, and your role as a banker is to manipulate the whole world so that you own the whole economy. So you are actually telling us the things that you have done as a banker to make sure that you buy the votes of members of parliament. You are telling us and sharing with us as a banker what you are doing to gain profit in the world by exploiting workers, and also what have you been doing to influence the International Monetary Fund in such a way that they don't put policies in place that involve members of parliament in the various countries, and so that those policies can be in your favor because you also contribute money as the richest bank in the world to the International Monetary Fund. So we want you to share with us, it's an imaginary game. We want you to play this game and share with us what are the things that you will do to make all of that happen if you were the richest bank in the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. OP, does that make sense? Hello, OP. Okay, so everybody understands now what we are saying. Um, so I would like us to perhaps just spend the next 10 minutes before we wrap up. Batiga Zwagala, all right, no problem. Let us reflect on this question then as a group. I mean, what are the things that you would do if you were rich, honestly speaking? And we are speaking from a place of your heart here, of your consciousness. If you were the richest banker, you even give money to the International Monetary Fund. Remember, I don't know if any of you have done Pulse 101, Pulse 102, where I think you probably have been introduced to the role of these international institutions, especially in global politics. Pulse 102, the International Monetary Fund, Pulse 102 would have exposed you to the fact that it is one of um, the global institutions that are giving financial aid to the world after the devastation of the various wars that have happened, the First World War, the Second World War. The social and economic fabric of different countries was eroded, particularly the infrastructure of the colonies or the former colonies of the South in particular, in some parts of East Europe and so on. So so you are a banker now, you are really rich, and you are giving money to the International Monetary Fund as one of the institutions that has established after the Second World War with the main purpose and the main function of providing financial assistance to countries who need financial support in order to rebuild themselves. And various institutions, really being institutions of health, education, food systems, economic systems, and so on. So you are in a position to say, IMF, I will give you so much money so that you can borrow to these countries that need this money. So imagine yourself having that power. And now you have this power. You are actually saying to the IMF, the only condition I have for you is to put in place the policies that will make sure that I continue to make profit as a banker, whatever it takes. So we are talking here to say, what are the things that you will put in place? Remember, you don't own a territory anymore. You don't own a country. Neither do you own an army, so you can't kill people or cause civil war. The only influence you have is money. It is the power of money because you are the richest bank in the world. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. OP, I see your hand is up. Please come through. OP, you can speak. Your mic is muted. Oh, it's a mistake. All right. So let us then reflect on that. I mean, what are the things that just from the top of your head and from your heart, you remember you're speaking from conscience here. What would you do if you're the richest bank on earth? And we are having this conversation in the context of new colonialism as a system that has maintained colonization in a new form, which is not really visible in the eyes of many because it is a form of colonization that is not about the fact that you can see the colonizer owning a country of the colonized, or you can see a colonizer owning the army of the colonized, but it is more on the grounds of economic influence. So, what would you do? That is the game. That's what this game is about.
I think first of all, you have to influence the price of gold. The price of gold must exploit at the lower prices. Must allow those countries whereby you have borrowed the money. If the question goes on to say that rich people can influence policies in those developing countries, which is something that I was so amazed to hear. But I can see that this game can be a reality as well, whereby we've some other people who are in cahoots with government influencing policies. We have people like Patrice Motsepe. I'm sure those people can influence policy, those ones. And then we've also seen the Guptas. We've seen the Oppenheimers, the Ruperts there in Stellenbosch. Also, they are also running countries. But my question now is not my question, but to say that I think one of them can be oil and gold, those kind of natural resources. You know, at my home there in Hammersdale, there is a warehouse, not necessarily a warehouse, but a firm whereby here in South Africa they extract a soil. That soil is sent to China to make metals and metals and what and iron. Then that iron is coming back to be sold to us. But the same soil that is extracted here is the one that is going there to be manufactured and produced and come here. And another thing, in 2007, they've all stopped manufacturing and producing foods here in South Africa, but they relied in imports. So that is some of the things that you can influence. That no, since you have borrowed your money, I think you can now buy things from us. You don't have we must not produce in your country. You must buy from us so that there may not be any competition from my side. That in that way I'll be able to control that country because now I know that they rely on me. Once they try to show a bigger head, I'll say, okay, I will cut those things because I know that they will go back and try to produce and manufacture that. I'll also influence the citizens to rebel against the government. You know what? This is the problem that you have. We've seen George Bush, who's the president Bush, when he was fighting with Fidel Castro, when Castro was resisting on America, trying to exploit Cuba there. And then Bush went on public and said, people of Cuba, I think the ball is on your court. If Castro is willing to free you, he must abide to what we are saying to him. And then from that, you will be free. So it's one of the things that you can do as well to influence the citizen to rebel against the government. I think that's what I can do.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think this question is a question of conscience, right? Because many of us are blaming the rich people to say capital we're talking against white monopoly capital, for instance, in many countries, in many situations, to say that the world is what it is today. New colonization exists because those who are rich are struggling, in fact, are refusing to let go of the riches. They are using any possible avenue to sustain themselves in terms of profit gain, whatever it takes, any form of exploitation, like we are saying, big. And I suppose the game is done to say, if it was you, we are really now checking reality here because we are the leaders of tomorrow, if not the leaders of today. What would you do if you really had so much money? We've got Patrice Motsepe, like you are saying, in South Africa. We've got Bill Gates in the United States, who's contributing a lot to the economy of the United States. You know, and there's many other examples that we can make. And I know it's fictitious in a sense that we don't own so much money, so probably what we will say may not hold true. But if you had so much money in your life, what would you do for the world? And I suppose the question is, are the things that we are asking of capital the real things? Because it also is about pointing the finger at ourselves to say, if I was a profit maker, would my contributions be towards developing the world, or would be towards sustaining myself because I work hard to make this money in the first place? So it's a question of conscience. Which is what Nkrumah touches on when he talks about new colonialism, and part of the reason why we are here is because African intellectuals have also been tempted. Our forefathers and our foremothers have been tempted by this game. We can see it, all over the world. We are dealing in South Africa today with high levels of corruption. The Zondo Commission is exposing high levels of corruption in the country. It's happening also in the US. We are having a lot of development aid that has been flooding various former colonies in the form of development money. Bill Gates alone, I don't know how many projects Bill Gates funds, for instance, around the pharmaceutical companies, which is at the center of raw materials, because it means that it's at the center of the kinds of materials that we get from our forests, which is traditional medicines, which get to then be converted into all kinds of medicines in the globe. And there are many examples. And the question is, should we expect Bill Gates and Patrice Motsepes and the Oppenheimers and all of them to think about our needs when they actually spend sleepless nights? They don't sleep trying to make money. And is it justifiable for the world to demand of them of such? To say there are markets all over, and if that market exists even in former colonies, we will tap into it. Should we be blaming China for investing in ways that are saying we also want to make profit? That's what this game is about. OP.
Sorry, I am raising my hand this time. I just wanted to say that I don't think that from what Becky Timber was saying, and from what you're saying, Doctor, I don't think that the scenario where there's a wealthy individual or wealthy individuals with so much control and power and influence working hand in hand with international organizations like the IMF. I think we have more evidence to the contrary that it doesn't work, and that, for example, with Bill Gates, they have vested interests because of the businesses that they run in keeping certain industries down, certain countries and regions down, and keeping others up. So even though they might have good intentions in their philanthropism, I don't think that it makes sense to, first of all, expect it of them, but at the same time to allow them to accumulate so much power and so much wealth. It's inherently, in the first place, unethical, in my view, at least.
I didn't hear submissions correctly, OP. Basically, you are saying that you don't think that those individuals are not in that close proximity with those institutions of like your World Health Organizations, those You are saying that they are not in close proximity, and they are also saying that they are not ethical. We are saying that they are ethical. They're doing whatever that they're doing good. Can you please clarify that one for me?
Okay, sorry if my mic is really bad. But basically what I'm saying is that it's unethical. And the fact that they have the ability to pick and choose, like they can support the IMF but not support the WHO, like as we see with Donald Trump trying to get the USA removed from the WHO. They can pick and choose as powerful nations, as powerful individuals, which initiatives to support, and thus they cripple the rest of the world, whether we like it or not. So it's unethical.
Yeah, and it's very, very key question.
Oh, which means you are saying what I was saying.
Yeah, she basically agrees with you, Peggy, to say that it is unacceptable. I would like you to really follow the debate that is happening at the World Trade Organization. I think you also have studied also the World Trade Organization is one of the international institutions that governs trade in the world. Um, and of course, in that sense, they are brother, sister, sibling type of institutions with the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, um, and so on. And the reason why I'm pointing you to it is because the World Trade Organization, as we speak, is going through a process of appointing the new Director General. And there are two candidates that have been shortlisted, and one of them is from Africa, from Nigeria, actually, Dr. Ngozi, and the other one is South Korean, and they're both women. And for the first time, that appointment is taking place in that way since 1948. And part of the problems of the World Health Organization is what both you and Betty are raising. The World Health Organization has got a system, a monitoring system that has not been working since then, in a sense that it is disabled by the rich nations. It's a system of monitoring the ethics of trade, the ethics of exchanging tariffs, prices of commodities, which is something that has led to the economic wars that we see today between China and the United States. And it's important to understand those politics even as we are studying African politics, because that's exactly what Nkrumah speaks about in New Colonization, because how the United States decide to support or not support the World Trade Organization, and China now, because China has risen into a superpower position, has got effects on the relationship of trade that any member state of the World Trade Organization does, economically speaking, because it sets prices for competitive advantage. And if the prices are set at a certain amount, such that they will always favor the rich, they will always favor those ones who say we're making a bigger contribution and therefore we deserve to stay in profit. So that is the essence of this. This is not, even though this thing is a game, like you're saying, Peggy, it is actually reality. It is actually reality. These games that I've shared with you, one of them, which is New Colonialism, are games that are depicted from experiences of reality, which is why the International Monetary Fund is not able to function. And that is why Africa, amongst other former colonies, continues to be in a position of new colonization, because it is held in that position from that relationship of trade, that relationship of exchange of what we call aid, financial aid in particular, because the standards and the policies that are set in place for that exchange to happen, if it is, for instance, a loan, it means that the interest that you have to pay as South Africa, as a former colony, as Nigeria as a former colony, as Burundi, and so on. It's so high that it will always benefit the one who is giving the loan. And you spend the rest, in fact, since 1948, since the establishment of these institutions, many former colonies have spent their financial life paying back interest of loans instead of developing themselves. And that's where I hear you, OP, to say this thing is unethical, because you are actually in a perpetual trap of some kind. The system itself deliberately, by the rich, is structured in such a way that you are never able to escape that trap. And that is what Nkrumah speaks about. And I think, and of course, we'll bring some of the literature that is a critique of what Nkrumah is saying as well, the critique of new colonialism as a school of thought, because there are critiques, particularly from the business sector, where people are saying, but I wake up every day and I work 24/7 and I make this money and I give it from the bottom of my heart as aid. Why is it that now that I'm expected not to benefit from it because I work hard for it? The question is the question of principles and the question of standard, to say, why is it that the system is structured in such a way in the first place that only few people are able to make that level of profiting? Does it mean that the whole world is that lazy, that only few people are capable of doing that? These are the questions. Yeah, so anyway, so that's the essence of the game, and I would like you to just sit with it and think about it. I will continue then on Monday because once you start engaging with this game at a deeper level, not necessarily as a game of fiction, but as a game of reality, you start to enter into the psyche of the capitalist. Honestly speaking, if you think of yourself just from ordinary life, if you wake up every day and you go and work and you earn 200 Rand, and there are people who do not make any effort to wake up and work every day, according to your perspective, right? Whatever the reasons are, whether they are able to get jobs or not able to get jobs, but you see them as incapable, perhaps because you think they are lazy or they're not making any effort. And they expect you to come back with this 200 Rand and give them 50 Rand of that money all the time when you get it. And they don't want to pay you back. They expect you to just give it. And you do the labor, the economic labor of making that money happen. How would you feel? And that is how a capitalist thinks. So the question is, will you create opportunities for everyone else to be able to earn the 200 Rand? Or will you solely continue to work on your own to produce the 200 Rand and hold everyone at a position where they need to beg for the 50 Rand from you all the time? I don't know if that illustration brings it closer home, but that is exactly what is happening with new colonialism. You have people that are very, very few people that have opportunities that are created deliberately to sustain that kind of relation financially, where you have to beg from those who are making constantly. And I suppose the question then of post-colonial scholarship is the question that says, can't we turn this upside down and create opportunities for everyone? Because we don't think that the whole world is that lazy. But where does the problem lie? Is it in the psyche? Is it in our psyche? Is it in our politics? Is it in our systems of governance? Or is it the fact that colonization itself still exists, like Nkrumah argues? I don't have the answers, but that is the essence of the game I was just explaining. We are way over time in terms of our class. I don't want to take advantage of your time. I always enjoy having these conversations, and sometimes I can go over time because I'm enjoying also being with you here. But otherwise, we can end it here today, and tomorrow, on Monday, we continue. Please read Olafsen. I hope that you are reading Olafsen, Decolonizing of the Mind. The work of Olafsen.
We have read.
Have you read? Yeah. So we will zone into her work. Her name is Rihanna. We will zone into Rihanna's work on Monday. If you have time, read it in conjunction with Ngugi Wationgo's work. Ngugi has written also in the early days about decolonization of the mind. And he is a novelist. He is a writer of novels. And when he wrote Decolonization of the Mind, he was talking about the state of languages, basically speaking about how language has been colonized. And of course, that speaks into various parts of our lives where he speaks about how the psyche, colonization has done so much that it has dismembered um, the former colonizer in such a way that we have forgotten ourselves. We have forgotten who we are, even in the structuring of capital, even in the structuring of the ways of being. Because the project of independence in itself had no intention of freeing anyone in the first place. But we will continue on Monday, which is why then Nkrumah says this new colonization is dangerous because it's making us believe that we are free and yet we are not, and then we are relaxing too much. Happy weekend. We will meet on Monday, directly then engaging with the content of Olufsen. I'll make some references to Ngugi wa Thiong'o. We are zoning now into a conversation about decolonization to see how then did decolonization take place? Is it decolonization at all? Happy weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everybody. I just want to read what Gwandile is saying, Lapayana. The dynamics of epistemological decolonization in the 21st century towards epistemic freedom is bringing Undlovu Katsheni. We will bring it as thank you so much, Gwandile. I will share this as well with everyone. And Ndlovu Katsheni is one of our post-colonial scholars, very, very key. And if you're interested in his reading, I will definitely bring him in as well. Thank you so much, Gwandile.